Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irma Šiljak, and I'm here on behalf of Medica Zenica, and I would like first of all to say hello on behalf of Zilka Spahić, director of Medica Zenica, as well as on behalf of Kirsten Winberg from Medica Mondiale. As Zilka already explained, they were not able to attend today's conference. However, I'm here and I will try in short to present the work and the results of the research that we have conducted in 2014 on the long-term consequences of war rape and coping strategies of survivors in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I will just give you a short introduction about Medica Zenica because I'm not familiar if you know that Medica Zenica is the first women's non-governmental organization that was established in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1993 during the war, and since then we've been providing comprehensive support and assistance to women and children survivors of war rape, sexual violence, but also women and children survivors of domestic violence, trafficking in human beings, and other forms of trauma and violence. So we have developed various services. We have established the first shelter or the safe house in the country in 1993, and therefore we have very extensive direct experience in working with survivors of war rape and sexual violence. And therefore we have published and finished our research in 2014. We are still alive, we have been harmed, but we are brave and strong, which actually wanted to examine what are the long-term consequences of war rape and sexual violence. This was very important for us because there were no familiar research available on our territory before. So we actually conducted this research based on a feminist research paradigm. And also we followed the ethical principles of trauma sensitivity. And within our research, we have focused on women survivors who used services of Medica Zenica in the period from 1993 up to date. So in the first phase, the first phase of the research was conducted with 119 women, and in the second phase, this number was reduced to 51 women who then continued with the research. In our research, we use combined methodology, meaning that we use both quantitative and qualitative. Apart from involving survivors, we also wanted to get feedback and information both from the government institutions who provide or who are supposed to provide social acknowledgement and other services to survivors, as well as from the non-governmental organizations that have been working with survivors for now 24 years in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we had four main research questions in our research. The first one was to examine the consequences of war rape and sexual violence on survivors' lives, their health and relationships. The second was the social acknowledgement of survivors of war rape. The third question was coping strategies and sources of resilience in the past 20 years. And the fourth question was also the impact of Medica Zenica support on their lives. So it was also some kind of an evaluation project for Medica Zenica and how we can improve our services, or also to document what has been very good and can be used as a model and lesson learned. So I will not talk too much about the key results and findings because I want to show you this video, which is actually representing parts from the life stories. As I said, we use combined methodology, and the quantitative methodology was focused also on oral history, conducting life stories with 7 survivors with whom we wanted to actually conduct in-depth interviews in order to respond these questions. But before I play the video, I know the time constraints, I want to say that we also recognized in our research that approximately 60% of survivors still suffer from clinically relevant PTSD symptoms, that 70% of them still state that the rape experience completely affects their lives today. 65% of them take some kind of medicaments. Also, more than 58% report the presence of gynecological problems, and 11% of them reported cancer. Also, I said already that war rape experience affects their relationship with partners, husbands, children, and transgenerational trauma is present. Survivors recognize NGOs as the ones who actually took care for them and still care for them, while they also recognize the lack of sensitivity of government institutions towards them. And at the end, they recognize the support and medical zajednica as a key in their coping with traumatic experiences. And the most common coping strategies are those adaptive ones. So I will now play the video.
How long it's going to take?
It's 4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay. So I think we are within the time.
It's in Bosnian, but it has English subtitles.
Bilo 18 godina i bila sam u 2. mjesecu trudnoće. I sad osjetim taj strah kad se sjetim šta se dešavalo. Ja sam u svom gradu obilježena. U mene se čitav život upire prst. Bila sam bespomoćna, ponižena, gladna i željna. Smrt od života mi je bilo potrebnije. Odvodili su, silovali su curice, cure, mlađe žene, a i ja sam bila curica.
Prijetili su ako ikome kažemo da će nas ubiti.
Nisam mogla plakati. Sve je u meni bilo zamrznuto. Saznanje da sam trudna nakon silovanja i da se abortus ne može uraditi u rodnoj bolnici. To je bio dodatni šok za mene i moju porodicu. Taj čin silovanja najviše se ujezala. To je najveća recka u mom životu.
Izbrisati ne mogu. Jednostavno ne mogu uzeti gubicu pa to izbrisati, ali treba misliti na lijepe stvari.
Nije me više stid. Ponosna sam, snažna i hrabra što sam zavoljela i prihvatila dijete. Nije mi bilo lako, ali sam je zavoljela
se u životu fokusiram samo na moju bol, na silovanje. Zato sam ja pobjednica.
This was one of the videos. It's a short version actually of the life stories. We have 7 life stories of women who participated in the research. I have to say that the youngest participant, who was at the age of 12 when she survived war rape, was in these life stories, and the oldest participant was 38 at the age of survived war rape and sexual violence. The women that you've seen on the screen are actually actresses from Bosnia and Herzegovina who wanted to give their contribution in raising the awareness and stopping stigmatization. As you could see in the video as well, there is a high level of stigmatization which has been shown also in our research. And Medica Zenica, together with survivors this year, as a follow-up to this research, actually did another campaign for ending stigmatization of, against survivors of war rape and sexual violence. And that was the second video that I wanted to show to you, because there are the women survivors who actually for the very first time decided to speak up publicly because they got enough strength and willingness to stop stigmatization. However, due to time and also ability to have discussion, I will finish now. You can find full research report on Medica Zenica's website as well as Medica Mondial's website. They are both in English and in Bosnian language. So if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.